The kill order. The stars beyond the Tavari dreadnought shimmered like prey in a predator's gaze, distant, beautiful, unaware. General Korik stared at them through the obsidian viewport, his hands clasped behind his back. He did not blink. His kind had evolved beyond the luxury of hesitation. The order is confirmed, the command AI intoned. Eliminate the human female, known as Elira Voss. Korik's scaled jaw tightened. Send the apex. In the shadows below the command deck, a containment cradle opened. Inside stood the Tavari Dominion's most feared weapon, Project Apex, 7 feet tall, encased in adaptive bioarmor, bloodline spliced from over a dozen conquered species. But at its core, it was something far older, more dangerous. Human. The Tavari didn't speak of that part. They considered it a necessary corruption in their genetic design, a tactical impurity. Humanity's aggressive neurology, paired with Tavari discipline, made Apex unstoppable. Korik watched as the Predator was injected with a mission packet. Neural links activated. The objective was simple: find and execute Elira Voss. No survivors. No dialogue. No deviation. The target had become a symbol of resistance, not through violence, but through language. A xenolinguist before the invasion, Voss had deciphered Tavari dialects in record time and used them to speak directly to prisoners, even brainwashed soldiers. Whispers claimed she'd turned them, without a weapon, without coercion. That made her more dangerous than any general. The Predator launched in a drop pod, slicing through Earth's broken atmosphere. The ruined monastery lay silent under ash-gray skies. Cracked stone pillars jutted from the ground like forgotten bones. Apex moved silently, scanning with thermal vision. His HUD flared red, target identified. She stood beneath the shattered dome, back straight, palms open at her sides. No armor, no weapons. Elira Voss. You've come to kill me, she said, her voice calm. She spoke in pure Tavari. Apex paused. His subroutines flagged an anomaly. A human using high dialect Tavari, perfectly? No outsider had ever mastered the inner tongue. It was more than language. It was hierarchy encoded in sound. You do not have to obey them, she continued. You were not born a weapon. You were made into one. He stepped forward, weapon drawn. Protocol demanded immediate termination, but she didn't retreat. They stole your name, she said. But I remember it. His fingers twitched. Deep within the neural mesh of his brain, a spark pulsed. A glitch? No, something older. Buried. You are not Apex, she whispered. You are Kael. The name hit him like a plasma shock. A memory, not data, flashed through his mind. A boy in a field. Laughter, the color green. Earth. He staggered, weapon trembling in his grip. The AI in his head screamed commands. Kill. Execute. Fulfill the order. I see you, Elira said softly. Not what they made. Who you are. The plasma blade hissed. Then silence. Apex, Kael, dropped the weapon. The sound of its striking stone echoed through the dome like thunder. He lowered himself slowly, one knee touching the ground. Head bowed. I see you. Across the stars, Tavari command lost signal. Korik stared at the black screen. Impossible, he hissed. Back in the monastery, Elira stepped forward and placed her hand gently on the bowed warrior's head. Not to bless him, to welcome him home. The bow. The world was still. Elira kept her hand on his head, feeling the subtle tremor in his shoulders. The apex predator, no, Kael, remained kneeling before her, his armored frame unnaturally still, like a statue caught between orders and identity. I shouldn't be alive, she said gently. His voice emerged for the first time. Low, mechanized, strained. You should not. Elira knelt to meet his gaze. His helmet, sleek black, a perfect mask, hissed and retracted. Underneath, she saw the face of a man. Pale skin marked with Tavari sigils, eyes that glowed faintly from cybernetic augmentation, but undeniably human. I dreamed of this moment, she said, but never truly believed it. He looked away. I was created to obey, but I remember the name when you spoke it. Kael. That name should not exist in my mind. It does, she said, because you were not born in a lab. You were taken. Kael blinked. Data flickered in his vision. Memory access was unraveling like broken encryption. Flashes earth. A mother's voice. Laughter. Fire. Screams. Darkness. I was 7 years old, he said slowly. When they came. Elira nodded. They took our orphans first. Said we were too weak to fight back. Kael's hands curled into fists. They erased me. Replaced my memories with training loops. Protocol. Pain. You're not their weapon anymore. I don't know what I am. She placed both hands on his face. He flinched, then stilled. You're the moment everything changes, she said. Ping. A drone, cloaked, hovering outside the ruins, registered the full visual feed. It transmitted to Tavari High Command. Only a few seconds, before Kael raised one hand and fired a pulse round directly through the wall. The drone exploded midair. They'll come, he said, to erase this failure. They'll come to erase you, Elira said, rising. But they'll find a world that remembers what you did here. And we'll be ready. He rose with her. They won't just come for me. They'll come for anyone who saw me kneel. Then we have to move, she said. There's a resistance node nearby. If we reach them, you can speak to the others. Show them who you are. Kael tilted his head. They will not trust me. They will, she said, if they hear your voice. Not their voice. Yours. He hesitated. Then, for the first time, Kael spoke, not in Tavari command code, but in English. Then let's go. The two moved swiftly through the scorched ruins of the valley, Kael scanning for patrols. Elira glanced back at him often, still in his Dominion armor, but his posture had changed. No longer predatory. Alert. Yes, but no longer programmed. A man reclaiming control. Why me? He asked, as they descended into a ravine. Why did I remember? I don't know, Elira admitted. But I've seen this before. In the prisoners. When they heard their language spoken with compassion, something shifted. Some came back. Others. Self-destructed. She nodded. It's the choice that matters. That you could choose. They reached a bunker hidden in the ravine wall. Elira tapped a rhythmic code into the panel. It slid open slowly, revealing a human rebel, nervous, rifle raised, who instantly panicked at the sight of Kael. Back! Get back! The soldier shouted. It's okay, Elira said quickly, stepping between them. He's with me. He's a Tavari butcher. He was. Not anymore. Kael remained motionless, lowering his head slightly. Not in submission, but respect. Elira turned. Let us in. If we're tracked, your whole cell is at risk. You need to hear what he has to say. The soldiers stare hard, then lower the rifle. Inside. Now. The steel door closed behind them. Kael took his first real step into human territory, not as a weapon, but as a man lost and slowly returning. The bow he had made in the monastery was only the beginning. Inside that bunker, the future was already shifting, and somewhere in orbit, General Korik prepared the next phase. If his apex predator had chosen rebellion, then he would unleash something worse. The awakening. The silence in the bunker was suffocating. Kael stood in the center of the war room, surrounded by armed rebels. They circled him like wolves eyeing a wounded animal, curious, afraid, and ready to kill. His armor still bore Tavari insignia. Bloodstains, some fresh, some old, marked the plates. Captain Ray Navarro entered last. His eyes locked on Kael's, and he didn't blink. This is your apex? He asked Elira, voice sharp with disbelief. He's not their weapon anymore, she said calmly. Navarro laughed once, bitter and low. He killed half of Red Cell last month. We buried their bones in the mud outside. And now you're telling me he wants to help. Kael didn't speak. He didn't flinch. He remembered who he was, Elira said. The Tavari used him, rewired him. But the human part is still inside. It's fighting to surface. You're betting everything on a memory? Navarro snapped. On a name. Kael finally stepped forward, slow and deliberate. My designation was Apex, he said, voice deep, still bearing that mechanical rasp. But I was born Kael Morgan. Earthborn. Taken during the first culling raids. Modified. Conditioned. Used. He raised both hands, open-palmed. I remember the screams I caused. I remember the ones I silenced. I can never undo that. But I can choose what I do now. You expect us to believe this isn't some Tavari trap? Navarro asked. Kael turned to Elira. She gave him a slight nod. He knelt, reached into a compartment on his wrist, and produced a glowing data spike. He placed it on the table. This contains Dominion fleet routes, outpost locations, firewall protocols, including the schematics of the command vessel in Earth orbit. Silence fell again. Navarro looked to his tech officer, who quickly plugged the spike into their terminal. Verifying, the tech muttered, "My God, it's real. All of it." Navarro's skepticism didn't vanish, but something changed behind his eyes. He turned back to Kael. "You want redemption? Prove it. Help us strike back." Kael rose to his feet. "Give me a target." Hours later, the war room was a hive of activity. Maps flickered, transmission codes flashed. Resistance cells across the continent were mobilizing. For the first time in months, there was coordination and hope. Kael moved through the bunker, scanning every system, offering insight with surgical precision. He knew Tavari weaknesses like muscle memory. He diagrammed entry points, troop rotations, supply depots. But not everyone welcomed him. In the mess hall, a young fighter named Mara threw a tray at him. "My brother died screaming under your blades," she spat. "Don't think kneeling erases that." Kael didn't dodge. The tray clattered off his chest plate. He stared at her with a calm she couldn't match. "I won't ask for your forgiveness," he said, "but I will fight so no one else loses a brother to them." She glared at him, then stormed out. Elira approached quietly. "You're doing more than I ever expected." Kael turned to her, something uncertain in his expression. "Then you expected too much." She smiled. "Not nearly enough." That night, in the dim glow of the tactical screens, Kael sat alone. A monitor flickered beside him. He stared at his own reflection, hardened, hybrid, alien. But behind the cybernetic eyes, something warm stirred. "Do you think I'll ever be more than what they made me?" he asked. Elira sat beside him. "You already are. They'll come harder now. The Tavari won't tolerate this." Then we give them something they never expected. Kael looked up. "What's that?" A human leading the charge. She placed a hand on his shoulder. He didn't flinch this time. An hour later, Navarro gathered the senior team. "The Tavari command vessel will pass in a strike range tomorrow," he said. "We have a 1-hour window before they shift orbit." Kael's provided a path through their blind spots. He looked directly at Kael. "You'll lead the insertion team." Kael nodded once. "I'll get you inside," he said, "and I'll finish what I started. For Earth. For the name I forgot." Far above, in low orbit, General Korik studied new reports. Images of Kael standing beside humans. Schematics of stolen intel. A kneeling gesture played on loop. Paused just before Kael's head dipped fully. "Activate Protocol Blackthorn," Korik ordered. "If the Apex chooses them," he growled, "then let him die with them." The fire and the oath. The human dropship punched through low orbit, its hull rattling as it breached the Tavari fleet's defensive screen. Klaxons blared across the command vessel Oryx Prime, but it was too late. The resistance team was already inside. Kael led the charge. Gone was the pristine black of Tavari armor. His plating had been stripped of insignia, repainted in matte gray, bearing only one symbol, a human hand, open in defiance. He moved with brutal efficiency, disabling drones, jamming signals, rerouting doors. He knew the ship as though it were muscle and bone, because in a way it was. He had bled here, killed here. Now he would set it ablaze. Behind him, Captain Navarro and Elira swept through the corridors with a team of Earthborn fighters. Resistance radio crackled with messages of uprisings across 3 continents. Elira's broadcast, showing Kael's kneeling act of defiance, had gone viral through smuggled Tavari relays. Systems thought loyal were rebelling. The signal was fire, and Kael was the spark. They reached the bridge doors. Kael halted. "I go alone." Navarro stepped forward. "You don't have to." Kael looked to Elira. "I do. This part is mine." She didn't argue. She placed something in his hand, a small metal ring, old and worn. "Your mother gave it to you," she said, "before they took you." Kael closed his fist around it. No words, just a nod. Then the doors opened. The command deck was bathed in cold blue light. General Korik stood at its center, waiting, massive, coiled in ritual armor. He looked like a coiled serpent ready to strike. "So," Korik said, his voice low and venomous. "You returned to die." "I return to choose," Kael said. "You were perfection," Korik snarled. "We crafted you from filth and fire. You were what humans could have been, and you threw it away." Kael stepped forward, calm and resolute. "You never gave me a choice. You were born to obey. I was born human." Korik roared and struck. Their clash rocked the deck. Korik's brute strength against Kael's precision. Sparks flew as armor cracked. Blood, dark red and bright, splattered across control panels. Kael took a blow to the ribs, staggered, then spun and drove his blade into Korik's shoulder. But the general ripped it free with a howl, slamming Kael into a console. "Even now," Korik said, panting, "you kneel." But this time in defeat. Kael coughed blood, pulled himself upright. "No," he whispered. "I kneel to no one." With a roar, he lunged, not with a blade, but bare hands. He knocked Korik's weapon aside, grabbed the control spike from his arm plate, and drove it into the central core. Alarm screamed. Korik reached for him, but Kael turned, delivered a final crushing blow to the general's throat, and watched him collapse. "Systems overload in 90 seconds," the AI intoned. "Evacuation advised." Kael limped to the comm station. "One final transmission. All units," he said, voice raw. "This is Kael Morgan. I was their weapon. Now I'm yours. The Tavari can bleed. The Tavari can fall. Today we rise." He uploaded the master override codes. Across orbit, Tavari ships lost their shields. Earth's resistance fleet, long outmatched, surged forward. They found him minutes later, slumped against the console, breathing shallow. Navarro lifted him. "We're not losing you now." Kael looked at Elira. "Did it work?" She smiled through tears. "It worked." As they fled the crumbling ship, the explosion lit up the atmosphere like a second sun. Weeks later, Kael stood on a hill overlooking a free city. No longer in armor. He wore simple clothes now, a quiet life beginning again. Children ran past him. One waved a wooden sword and shouted, "I'm Kael. Bow to me." Kael smiled. Behind him, Elira approached. "The peace talks are real," she said. "Dozens of species are joining us." He nodded. "And the Tavari?" "Scattered. Afraid. Just like we were." He looked to the sky. "Let's keep it that way." Elira took his hand. "No more weapons. No more orders. Just us." Kael looked at her, then to the earth below. "Then let's build something worth protecting."